right. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, hold on, I gotta switch. I was on my other account. Hello, hello. Hi, Steven. Hi, Bob. I love you too. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Ah, sound. All right. Hi, hi, hi. Too much noise. Go away. No. No sound. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone tonight? Hi, Holly. Hi, Paperback. Hi, Danny. So I hope everyone is doing well. I am doing better. My hair is falling out. I'm doing better. I went to visit my sister-in-law today, who I must say, modern medicine is miraculous, because she is doing amazing. When I got there, she was sitting up. She has almost no weakness in her hand. She's talking. She's talking about going home like tomorrow or the next day. And she was on a ventilator, had brain surgery 2 days ago. So modern medicine is like, wow. Oh, Jada, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. I will tell you though, if you just heard my story, my sister-in-law had a major stroke. Like, she was on a ventilator and they had called family in 2 days ago. And they went in and did brain surgery to relieve the blood clot. And I said to her, are they going to do, she was in the hospital, will she still have to quarantine herself for 2 weeks? I'm sure, probably. I said, are you going to do, like rehabilitation therapy and stuff? And she said, yeah, they don't think I have to do that. Like, should be fine. So, the strides that have been made in stroke care in just the last couple of years is unbelievable. I mean, that is unbelievable. I'm in total shock. So Jada, there's definitely hope. I'm not saying it's not a serious thing, but I'm blown away. Like, I can barely speak because that's a huge difference from what it used to be. Now, her mother, Peter's mother, died when she was 39 of a stroke. She smoked 2 packs of cigarettes and didn't go to the doctor and had high blood pressure and all that stuff, but had a massive stroke and then had a heart attack. She was 39. So when this happened and we heard she was on a ventilator and stuff, I thought, oh, geez. I mean, I was ready to go in and help them make decisions, medical decisions and stuff. So different. So different. So there's definitely hope abounding. So that's good news. My aunt, who is in the hospital too. Hi, Shamara. They did the endoscopy because she had some kind of GI bleed, internal bleeding, and they found ulcers, which is not, great, but it is way better than, we were all kind of worried, and that is way better than it could have been. They think they can treat it with medication, so they're going to keep her for a couple days, try the medication to watch her, because if it gets worse, they may have to do some kind of surgery or something to close whatever's open there, but hopefully, so that's hopeful also. So it was a very long day of driving, but it's been a decent day. Yes, yes, yes. Good news all around. So that is really good. So I did want to come on and start talking about Lughnasadh or Lammas. Some people call it Lammas. Because I can't believe here we are. It's July 10th. And it sounds like that bath helped. Yeah, I agree. I was up pretty late last night and took I did a cleansing ritual last night with sea salt and rosemary and lavender, lemongrass. There's something else in there too. I can't remember. And Palo Santo. I burned Palo Santo and, did a couple meditation kind of things and let a lot of that drain down the drain. And I think that I knew immediately I felt a lot better than I had been in a while since I started having those weird dreams and stuff. So, I do think that definitely helped a lot. Yay. So here we are. And Lughnasadh is around the corner. I cannot believe it's July 10th already. It's kind of, this whole year is going so fast. Like super fast. Don't you think? In a way, it's funny. In another way, in the midst of COVID and everybody's kind of stuck home and there's a lot of stuff going on and all that, it's not easy, but I do think that it's kind of cool that it's at least kind of going by fast. Hopefully. Where am I? Yes. Okay. So Lughnasadh. I want to start talking about Lughnasadh because Lughnasadh is August 1st. And it's coming up on us really quickly. And so a couple things. First of all, I want to make sure you have time to get ready for Lughnasadh. My best friend's kids said they hadn't seen their friends for 2 years, so maybe much longer time-wise to kids. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure for 2 years. That's so cute. I want to make sure you guys have enough time to get ready. I know for the shop, we are going to be starting this weekend. I think Saturday, she's going to start to sell some stuff that we have put together for Lughnasadh. Some stone kits and that kind of thing. And so I want to make sure that you guys know what it is and have the opportunity to get ready for it and, to prepare yourself for it and to, maybe get us in a mindset for it. I was thinking there's something that has been in the air for so long this year, since the beginning of the year, and Lughnasadh really could be a chance for us to kind of move some of that energy along and let that part of the negativity that's going on this year to kind of put it to rest and try to regenerate something new. And Lughnasadh is a great time to do that we'll talk about the symbology of it. Celebrate Wendy. Hi. It's so good to see you. We miss you so much. So it's a great time for that to happen. I think maybe we should plan some really cool meditations and rituals and stuff, because the symbology of it is going to go along perfectly with getting rid of some of this shit that we've gone through. My cat was born August 1st, so I named him Lou. Woohoo! Good for you. That's awesome. I love it. So first of all, let's talk about the name, right? I call it Lughnasadh, partly because I'm very Celtic, obviously. And that is the Celtic word for this celebration. A lot of people will call it Lammas, which means loaf mass, translates to loaf mass. It's kind of a Christianized name for it, so I kind of I shy away from it, but it is the harvest. It's the first harvest of the year, and it's my favorite because, well, and of course I know I always say this is my favorite, right? But this is one of my favorites, really, because hello, it's bread. Yay, carbs. This is your excuse to eat as many carbs as you want because we're harvesting grain. We have to have bread of all kinds. Yay! I love the bread harvest. I love the wheat and corn and all of that. I want carbs. Lots and lots of carbs. Yes, I know. By the way, Phelan got her new house. I'm so excited. I know, moving sucks, but it's nice when it's over. I still am in the midst of this weekend. I'm really, really, really hoping to get rid of a lot more of these boxes. I know Peter's getting like, okay, hello, get rid of some of the shit. So this weekend I'm really going to dive in and do a lot of that. There's some really interesting stuff. Honey bread. Yes, 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 honey bread. And I can't wait, Bob. This is when I made my rosemary honey butter. And it was so good last year on Lughnasadh. Now, I tried to do it again for Mabin, and Peter got the wrong shit. So it wasn't as good when we got to, or was it good for Litha and it wasn't as good? The first time I made it, it was super good. I'm going to make it like that again. So we're definitely going to have rosemary honey butter, and it's so fucking good. It's so good, really. There's something about rosemary and honey. It's just really good. I'll try to share my recipe. Just made cornbread. Yum. Oh, that sounds so good. Yes. Yay. Okay. So let's talk about what is it? Why are we celebrating it? What goes on? What's the significance, right? First of all, I will tell you, and Shamar is here. Look at my wheat. Yay. Now, I am determined to get real wheat, but I figured I found like ceramic wheat. I was so excited because, you know, wheat is not something that's out there a lot as decoration. Let's be honest. And so I found ceramic wheat. I was totally excited. I think this will be at least my second year of using it. Might be my third year of using it. I can't remember now. I might have just found it last year. But so grains, we're talking about grains. This is the first harvest. It's the grain harvest. It is what we would call it's a greater Sabbath. So I need my tapestry behind me, right? The lesser Sabbaths are the solstices and the equinoxes. And so this is one of the greater Sabbaths. This is Lammas or Lughnasadh. It's technically the beginning of autumn. I know, it's still really hot by August. Keep in mind that most of these seasons came from, you know, the other side of the pond. So if you're in England or Ireland or Scotland or something like that right now, this kind of timekeeping might make more sense to you. Because it's not, we're like a little bit behind the seasons that we're talking about here. Where did the solstice come from? The solstices are the longest day and the shortest day of the year. So the solstices, we just passed the solstice. Litha, midsummer, was the longest day of the year, sun-wise, where the sun has the longest time of being out. And Yule is the longest night of the year, or the shortest day of the year, where the sun has the shortest go around. So This, however, is Lughnasadh. Am I supposed to be in a live chat? Yeah, you're here. Hi, Scarlett. You're here. When were they first recorded, Sonia? Are you talking about solstices? Way long before there was any kind of written language, so we don't know. The Mayans would celebrate the solstices thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. The Celtics would celebrate solstices. That's what they believe Stonehenge was for, was to keep time with the solstices and equinoxes and that kind of thing. So, yes, I'm on live chat. I am. Oh, live chat or top chat. Oh, I gotcha. Live chat is best because then you can see the chat as it comes up. Specifically, the first of 3 autumn harvests. That's right. It's the beginning of autumn. It is the first harvest of the year. So, which is my favorite, is the grain harvest. Yay. So it's marking the end of summer, the beginning of autumn, in our pagan calendar anyway. It's still hot, so we know that we're a little bit behind and that kind of thing, but we are celebrating. You know, it's funny that the harvests go along with what we're celebrating, because we're celebrating corn right at the beginning of August. Is the perfect time for corn, blackberries, which is a big thing. So I'm getting the Forest of Enchantment deck. Yay! Oh, good for you. Yes. Woo! Good for you. That's a great deck. I love it. So most of the pagan Sabbats take their names from the Gaelic language. Yule and Litha are from the Anglo-Saxon, and Lammas is from the Anglo-Saxon also. But if you take it from the Celtic, it's Lughnasadh. It is a contraction. Lammas is a contraction of the Anglo-Saxon word for loaf mass. And I believe, I'm trying to remember, the Catholics, that's when they bless all of the host bread for the year. So they bring out, they make all of the, the body of Christ, the little round paper, tastes like paper discs. That's, the Catholics took up that holiday. That's how they tried to, and I hate when I say this, because it sounds like I'm bashing them. I'm not. But when the Christianized and Catholic religion tried to convert everyone, they took Jesus skin is what I used to call it. That's hilarious. They took many of the pagan holidays and created Christianized versions of them, because they wanted the people to convert. And the pagans had so many awesome holidays and Sabbats and parties that they wanted to allow them to continue their traditions without making them about the gods. So they took a lot of them and they made them Christianized. And that's how they did this with Lammas, because Lammas was loaf mass. They made it a mass where they bless all of the wafers. So that's the day that the Catholics now bless all of the wafers. They make it all, throughout the year, but you can't have it until it's blessed on Lammas, which is the loaf mass. It's just a thing, kind of an aside thing to let you know. Yes, August 1st. Yep. August 15th is also the Feast of the Assumption. Yes, exactly. Yes. So loaf mass refers to the honor paid of the first loaf of bread from the grain of the first harvest of the year. So quite literally, they would, back in the day, we'd say that meaning when this was being celebrated by most people in the, in the Celtic lands, they would cut down the first grain, the first wheat of the harvest, immediately take that and cut it up and mill it and do what they do with it and create a loaf. and have a celebration around that first loaf made from the first harvest. When I was a kid, I told my parents, this is my body, this is my blood. It was pagan sounding. Yep, it sure is. There's a lot of Catholic things that are very pagan, right? The Apples of Apollo that discusses that very concept. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So, they'd have a big party with this first loaf of the first harvest. So the god, when we talk about the stories that surround the Wheel of the Year, we know at Litha, at Midsummer, the Oak King, I don't know, I think I skipped Litha this year, didn't I? Because I was in the midst of moving and all that crap, I think. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember if we talked about it. We know, though, at Litha, the Oak King and the Holly King fight. So they are brothers, and they fight twice a year. And Litha is the time that the Holly King mortally wounds the Oak King. The Oak King rules for the light half of the year. And so Litha is the longest day. The Holly King mortally wounds him, stabs him so that he is weakening now so the sun's getting shorter, the days are getting shorter from midsummer. So he was wounded. This is where he begins to die. I didn't get a chance to do Litha. Yeah, that's what I thought, because of the move and everything that was going on, I ended up skipping Litha this year, so I'm sorry, but that's what happens. Is there a video to see what you're describing? Yes, I did. I do a video almost every year of the holidays. So if you look back to last year's Litha, I'm sure I described that. Where am I? So he begins to die by the time we get to Lughnasadh. Okay. And there's a lot of songs and stuff. We'll talk about probably in my next video about Lughnasadh, we'll talk about the songs. There's the corn and grain song. Corn and grain, all that dies shall be reborn. Grain and corn, something like that. So we talk about how the god dies and is sacrificed. Okay, sacrificed at Lughnasadh, at Lammas. So I have to say, and I've said this before, there's two books that Ashleen Ogia, that she has come out with that talk about the Sabbaths of the year. This one is the light half of the year, and then the other one is hoof and horn. Thank you, all the dies will be reborn. I'm like, what the hell am I singing? Corn and grain, yep. All that falls will rise again. Thank you. My brain isn't working today. I'm too tired. So this one is called Celebrating the Seasons of Life. This is Beltane to Mabon. And this is the light half of the year. And then there's another book that I have that is Celebrating the Seasons of Life. And then that is from Samhain to Ostara. Okay. And these are, I have to admit, these are probably my go-to at this point. These are the best books that I have on all of the Sabbats. I really enjoy these books. They talk a lot about what the lore is, what used to happen, why it's like that. Yes, there's lots of books. This series of two books are probably the ones that I go to first. And then I have other ones that I rely on a lot for different things. But I love these for the lore and the history of the Sabbat. Really good. Ashleen Ogia, she did a really good job with these two books. So I do recommend this. In the Lammas section here, so the lore about the god and goddess and the Oak King and all that, we don't know where that came from because, again, that is before written history. That story of the god and goddess and how the god dies at Lughnasadh and is sacrificed into the earth so that we will harvest his seed. And then he's is impregnated. The goddess is impregnated by him, and then he's reborn. All that whole story came from long, long, long ago, and that's where we get the Wheel of the Year. That's why we celebrate what we celebrate, is because that whole story kind of interwoven. It was an explanation of what, yeah, it is a Celtic tale. But it's an explanation of what we celebrate when we are celebrating everything's Wheel of the Year. All the death and rebirth, and then it goes again, death and rebirth, and then it goes again. And everything in life goes through that death and rebirth cycle. And that, again, has to do with the Wheel of the Year. And so they were all tales that were told in different places in history, different places around the world, to tell kind of the tale of what was going on in the Wheel of the Year. That's where all religion comes from, is stories to explain the experiences that we on earth are having, right? So she does talk about sacrifice here, though, which is such a good talk, because so often when we become pagan, one of the first questions that we have to answer for a lot of the time when our parents, when our families find out that we are pagan, one of the first questions is always, inevitably, do you sacrifice stuff, though, because they used to talk about sacrificing things to the old gods. Now, I'm not going to say that none of the traditions ever sacrificed anything. Do you sacrifice babies? Yes. And cats. And I hear that all the time. And because some of our traditions talk about the sacrifice of the god, it's easy to get confused as to what they mean. If they didn't want sacrifices, why is it that, we use that word? And Ashley Nogaya, she goes through this, and I do want to read this because I think it's important to be able to answer that question with a historical reference to say this is what it used to mean. And so this is the answer. Sacrifice means to make sacred. To make sacred. Okay? When we hear the word, we tend to think of terrified victims on stone altars and a wild-eyed, knife-wielding priest or priestess about to make the fatal thrust. We get this image from Hollywood, from the Old Testament, from all kinds of stories in between. However, we also use the word less violently when referring to self-sacrificing volunteers and heroes. And this is closer to the sense in which pagans use the word when we describe the god's death as sacrifice. I sacrifice the parts of myself that no longer serve me. Yeah, very good. Yes, perfect. The idea is that the god dies willingly to his own rebirth, which incidentally makes it possible for all of us to live through another winter, because he becomes the grain. That harvest, he becomes the grain, okay? When we speak of the god's sacrifice in the hunt and the harvest, we're saying that his willingness to die makes his death sacred. It makes it an offering of life and rebirth. Our use of his death at Lammas or Lughnasadh, our focus is on the bread we make of the harvested grain, is another aspect of the sacrifice, of making his death sacred. We make that death of the grain sacred by making it into bread, using that death, making it into bread to sustain us through the winter, right? Let's interrupt our discussion of lammas to talk a little bit about sacrifice in a broader sense. One of the problems that I have as a Wiccan priestess, she's Wiccan, with this word is, although its root meaning is completely compatible with theology, a pagan theology, its popular meaning is incompatible. And yet there really isn't another word that I can use if I don't want to offer a paragraph explanation every time I use it. There's really no escaping the various biblical and B-movie images that have attached themselves to this word. And even when we use it in the mundane sense when referring to self-sacrifice, We're almost always talking about self-deprivation. So keeping something, we're self-sacrificing by not eating chocolate. We are self-sacrificing by working more. It's always about something bad, right? That word always kind of has I'm gonna suffer. I'm gonna suffer to give something, right? It's always has this kind of negative connotation with it. Aw. My thesaurus suggests other words for sacrifice. They include offering, oblation. Let's be honest, though, being connected to the Wicker Man is pretty flattering, right? I know. I love that movie, too, especially the 1973 version. That's a great movie. Offering, oblation, and homage. And they also include ritual slaughter and immolation. Those first three are good. Homage, in particular, is eminently suitable, but not generally understood to describe a religious experience. Slaughter and immolation, while occasionally being technically correct, really don't begin to convey the beauty of pagan ritual or the depth of its significance. For most people, these two words still conjure images of maniacal priests and innocent victims. It seems to me that these understandings, especially the idea that we have to give up something we love, something we need, or something that will make our lives worse if we don't have it, harken back to the notion that we must suffer pain and grief in this life and in this world to achieve any lasting peace or glory in the next. This is not a premise we believe in. And we don't often have or take the opportunity to make that clear when we're talking about our faith. So again, that idea of self-sacrifice, the Christians and a lot of other religions, really, they use that to say, well, we're going to sacrifice in this life because then in the next we'll be rewarded. And we don't believe in that. We believe that this life should be rewarded, that we can take what we can get from this life, that we should make this life the best life we can have, that we have the power to pull power from above, as above, so below. We have the power to take what we need from the spiritual realm to use it in this life, goddammit. I want it now. We are allowed to have it now. Yes, we believe in reincarnation, and we believe that when we die that there is another entity that goes on again. But we don't have to self-sacrifice because we believe that in some mystical realm that we're going to, that if we're self-sacrificing, if we whip ourselves in this life, then we'll be rewarded in the next. We don't believe that. So that's not a concept that we should, be talking about. Our sacrifices are really sanctifications. And most of what we give to the gods, we give as gifts to each other, to the animals, to the earth. Most of the offerings or the sacrifices that we do, we give to each other. Our offerings are made from love and not from any sense that we better make them or else. When the God dies, he's not sacrificing himself for us in the way the Christians understand Jesus to have died for them. There's no expiation involved here. There's no sins to be paid for. Sure, there's an energy exchange, but this is the same exchange present each time you do anything, each time you step or breathe or move. And that's because the worlds are composed of various combinations of matter and energy. That's basic physics. It's not a bargain and the premise that we need saving. It's a relationship, and the premise is that we are all part of a wondrous, joyful, uplifting, gladsome cycle of life. The God's death is not bloody and painful. He walks no Via Dolorosa. It's actually more appropriate to liken the harvest to an orgasm. For in it, there is both immediate satisfaction and the release of life-continuing seed. When the God dies, he releases seed, which then will lie in the earth and next year will grow into the crops that then we will harvest again. So it's more of an orgasm than it is a sacrifice. The true nature of sacrifice, to which Lord Summerisle alluded. Yes, yes, yes. Because Wicca and paganism holds the cycle of incarnate life holy, and because we believe that death is a growth mechanism that is part of the process of reincarnation, we don't think of the God's death as a tragedy. For that matter, we don't think in a theological sense of our own deaths as tragedies or ends. We know that following every winter will be another spring, and the flowers that wilt as the seasons change will eventually bloom again. The God sacrificed in the harvest is a gift, the gift of life to itself. When we eat the bread made from the harvested grain, the grain that was alive with his spirit, we take his spirit into ourselves, literally, of course, but figuratively as well. You are what you eat is a retired catchphrase now, but in many ways still true. When we partake of lammas bread, we are sharing in the God's sacrifice, his act of making sacred in a number of ways. First, we're eating to stay alive, which is one way of giving his death meaning, right? Second, we are literally eating his seed. And in many old stories, eating the God becomes seed produces a magical pregnancy from which results a rebirth of the God. So that cycle goes right around again. So like the God of Litha will die until the next year. Exactly. Hi, Susie. Third, we are taking into ourselves his qualities and responsibilities to the world. Now that's a big one for me. We are, by eating that first bread of the spilled seed of the God, of his life-giving seed, by eating that first bread, we are taking on some of his qualities and his responsibilities to the world. We're making an oral contract to carry on his work of living in the service of life. We need to live our best life. That bread that we are eating at Lughnasadh is a contract to say, you know what? I recognize that you died. You spilled that seed so that I could live by eating this bread, and I am going to make good on that contract by living the best life that I can live, by honoring the earth, by honoring what we have done, by honoring the animals, by honoring life itself and the cycle of life. Oh, thank you so much. Well, hello, Jace. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. I love it. Shit, that is Lion King, right? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. The circle of life. That's right. So we are honoring all of that. We are honoring his sacrifice, his sacred contract by eating what he spilled. In all of these ways, our tasting of or feasting on the lammas bread is a sacred act that helps us to recognize the sacredness of life and death and rebirth. So that's part of that Lammas Lughnasadh tradition. That's why we need to eat bread. That's why we are called to eat bread. Carbs are in at Lughnasadh. Now, the other piece of this, that's the Anglo-Saxon Lammas loaf mass part. The other piece of this is the part that the god Lugh brought in. Luge, a Celtic god. He was a master of all trades. A lot of people call him Lugh the sun god, but that is just a tiny piece of who he was. He was a god of many, many things. And I shut my book. Uh, he was, hold on, because it lists all the different things. Okay. So when he tried to get into Lou of the Long Arm, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. That is, bread is literally life. Yes, 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 absolutely. Here we go. Okay. Uh, he was called Lumfada, which is long arm, Lou of the long arm, because his prowess with a spear. We established games. The Celtics established games, and Lou established games for his mother, Tialtu, who actually was his foster mother. And Tialtu raised him, and he so honored her. He so loved her. She did such a good job at raising him that he declared a day of games in honor of his mother, Tialtu. So, and it's all kinds of games. There's like the Highlander games are played right now. They think that may have come from some of these day of feasting and games. There's all kinds of different games that happened on this day in honor of Lou and all of the things he could do and his mother. He came to be called Lou Longhand when he applied for a place in the royal court of the Tuatha. He suggested a variety of skills for which he might be qualified, but the court already had a smith, so he was a blacksmith. He knocked on the door. The story goes, he knocks on the door and he says, "I'm a wonderful blacksmith. Do you have a god of blacksmithery?" And they said, "Yeah, we got one of those." And he said, "Okay, well, I'm a carpenter too. Do you have a carpenter god?" "Yeah, we got one of those." "I'm a bard, a healer, a champion, a magician." All kinds of things that he could do. And they kept saying, "No, we got one of those. We have a god of this. We have a god of that. And he said, "Yes, but you don't have a god that does all of them." Hence, Lou the Long Arm. Yes, it's a Celtic god. Yes, Tuatha is the Celtic gods. Now, so then they let him in and said, "Okay, you're a god of all of them. We don't have a god that's the god of all of those things. So you can come in and we'll call you Lou the Long Arm." Or in other stories, it was because he was so good with his spear, because he supposedly killed Baelor with his spear and stuff. There's so many interesting stories in the Tuatha. I know I want to do a series on it, but there's so much I want to do that I end up, saying I'll do too much. But I did do a video just explaining the very basics of the beginning of Irish history. I'll try to find it and post it in the Facebook group so you can find it. But I did do a video because it's so interesting, the fairy folk, the Tuatha, and how they are one of many races of existence that came into Irish culture. Super interesting. But so one of the other things that we can do for Lughnasadh is, yes, I know, isn't that romantic? Some suggest the battle between Lou and Baelor is the slaying of the moon by the sun every day. And then the moon rises again, and then the sun rises again. I know. It's like a romantic, I love it. There's something with the full moon also has to do with Lughnasadh. The full moon is a symbol of Lughnasadh, I think, is the full moon. I'll have to read up on it. How do you spell the thing you're talking about? Oh, the Tuatha. It's so it's spelled, let me see if I can get on here, because I don't know if I can say it out loud. Tuatha. Thank you. There it is right there. That's how it's spelled. Pronounced very differently. Um, it's so many interesting stories out of that pantheon. I love that pantheon. Um, what was I saying? Oh, the games. There's a whole bunch of games that you can play. Yes, it is. I have tried so hard to start learning how to actually pronounce some of these things, and sometimes I still butcher it. It's really hard. Welsh is less deceitful. It may be, but that one's not easy either. um, so there's all kinds of different games that we can play for Lughnasadh. We used to, when my kids were growing up. I mean, now it's kind of me and Peter and I. But when my kids were growing up, we used to do games of strength and stuff on Lughnasadh. And so the kids really liked Lughnasadh because they could wrestle and it was sanctioned wrestling, like they could actually fight together, and I would allow it because that was celebrating like Lou would have celebrated it. So they loved that. There's so many things you can do. You can make little wheat dolls, corn dollies start to come into being around this time. And corn. I love when corn season comes. And I sometimes I feel bad that I love corn so much because corn like has almost no nutritional value. It's very little. Obviously, since it comes out pretty much the same as it goes in, but it tastes so good when it's fresh, and you can go and literally, where I used to live, my grandmother used to call ahead and say, okay, go pick some, I'm coming. And they literally would pick them for her, and she'd pick them up. Oh, so good. Anyways, so there's a lot of good food. There's a lot of celebration. It should be a family celebration. Now, in the day of COVID, how can we do that, right? You still can. It's obviously it's not going to be a wrestling time unless you live with the people you can celebrate with. Make a whole meal out of corn. Yay! Lou of all trades instead of Jack, right? Yeah, absolutely. Lou of all trades. We should start that. Start a revolution. Thank you, Sonia, by the way. I just noticed that. I apologize. I didn't mean to miss that, but I did miss it. Thank you. So I think that everyone should try to plan some family time at least. Human corn vending machines. At least try to plan some family time. We're at the shop now, so I'm wondering, I'm going to talk to Cass. Maybe we can do a ritual at the shop. It's hard because I don't want to do an inside ritual. But I can't really do one here. We'll see. Let me think about it. Those of you who are local, let me know if you would like to be a part of it. I did, just a little, Ben. I touched on the fact that I didn't tell the whole story. But I will. I think that's a good story, and I'll bring out a good version of that story, and we'll tell the story of Lou and TL2 and Baylor, and because it's a great story. But that is, TL2 is the foster mother that Lou created the games for sure. It's a great time to be with family and eat bread. Has a fire pit. Yay! Ooh, that's awesome. Any questions about Lughnasadh? I mean, we'll go into way more detail because I want to keep doing a couple more videos because, I try to only focus on a short part of it. I figured I'd do the lore and stuff, the history of where it came from. I will do a video of Lou's actual story. We can do that because it's an interesting story of killing his grandfather and all that. It's really interesting. I wish you were too, yes. If you are alone, I will talk about what you can do as a solitary practitioner too. There's some things that you can do to celebrate as a solitary practitioner. You know, obviously it's not as fun, I think, but you can have some great celebrations on your own. I've had years of doing it on my own. I didn't have, you know, once the boys got older, they didn't really want to participate. Because you worked that weekend, that's okay. And don't forget, guys, that's the other thing. So August 1st isn't always on a weekend. And so a lot of times I've had to celebrate, you know, the weekend before or the weekend after. That's okay. Nothing says that you have to celebrate it on that exact day. I try to if I can, because it's a marker in time. But that is not a requirement. You don't have to do that. We're pagans. So when you can get outside and do it, do it. You know, thank goodness our celebrations aren't just on Sundays. We can celebrate anytime we want. Absolutely. I have celebrated, you know, especially when you have a group of people that you're trying to get together. Sometimes I've celebrated 2 weeks afterwards. We can't, you know, celebrate sometimes right then. Can I send you some photos on Insta of my BOS? Yes, please. Yes, absolutely. As Jen says, if it works for you, it works. Yes, absolutely it works. You could always do it on the full moon of August. Yes, that's true. Don't forget, the full moon of August is August 5th, I want to say. I believe it's at, well, it's like at 11:59, I think. So it's either the 5th or the 6th or the 4th or the 5th. I can't remember. But it's, you know, right around then. 5th or the 6th. Yeah, and it's really, I think the actual full moon time is like 11:59, so it's literally 1 minute before the next day, technically. I feel like most of the Sabbats have been on weekends this year. We've gotten lucky this year. It's usually I have to take off. Your birthday is on the 6th? Well, happy birthday. That's awesome. Keep in mind that Samhain this year is going to be a huge, huge, huge celebration. There's a lot of cool astrological things that are coming together at Samhain. Things that won't happen again for hundreds of years. There's some really cool things happening this year at Samhain. So we're planning a big, big thing for Samhain. Hexen is coming up for Samhain. I wish I could tell for sure if I could invite more people to come up for Samhain. But with COVID exploding everywhere, yeah, it's on a blue moon this year. That's right. And that does not happen for hundreds of years after this one, it's a huge, huge deal. It's a full moon. It's a blue moon. So that's huge. Yes, yes, yes. It's huge. I wish I could invite all of you. I really do. The local people, if you are local, plan on coming if you can, because we're going to have a great celebration. For real. Winter solstice and Samhain. I take off most of the holidays every year. Or at least I did. I don't think I will be doing that at the shop because it's a little different. We're kind of celebrating at the shop. But yes, there is, Danny. I know. I'm trying to remember. There is something else going on at Samhain. And I was talking about it last year. Like next year, there's this huge thing. So I'll have to go back and watch my Samhain videos last year to remember what else is going on. There's like 3 or 4 different things that are culminating all together at Samhain. Do you think it's safe to travel? It depends on where you are. That's a good question, Linda. And because it's a couple months away still. Now, don't forget, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah. So remember back in March when this all started? Well, now we're in July. And from July till the very end of October is about the same amount of time as since this COVID thing really came into being, where we really were aware of it, since March. So if you think about having that much time and all the stuff that's happened, we don't really know where we'll be at the end of October as far as COVID, and I don't know. I don't know what to say, because a lot could happen by then. We could be awesome. They could find a vaccine, but we could be, in a horrible another wave. March 28th is when we shut down here. See? Hi, Tara Lee. Welcome. Yes. Start the satanic holiday, right? It's going to be a busy night for the babies. Oh, yes. Right? Maybe we could have lesser restrictions by then if people stop being stupid. Please wear a mask. It has nothing to do with politics. It's not, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, alien, don't care about politics. Please, please, please wear a mask when you go out in public. That is one of the biggest ways we're going to stop the spread of this. We're having a huge resurgence in a lot of the country because people think it's some political thing, and it's not. It's medical. It's please wear a mask. Please. I saw a meme. It was a great meme, actually. I saved the meme. Comparing mask use to wearing pants and peeing yourself. And basically it says, this is what it's like. If you cough or sneeze, you are spewing sputum into the air, which then I'm going to pick up if you don't have a mask on. And if you are carrying the disease and I'm wearing a mask and you're wearing a mask, then I won't catch the disease. Hi, Trisha. Just like if you go out in public not wearing pants and you're a male, let's say, because a female really, what does it do? Run down your leg. But let's say you're a male and you go out in public wearing no pants and you pee. There's a possibility that you're going to pee on someone. If your pee was COVID, you're spreading it. If everyone wears pants, I don't care if you pee, you're not going to get me. That's the analogy. Please, everyone wear a mask. And that, because the problem is we don't know if we're positive or not. We can walk around with this disease, and a lot of people don't know that they're positive. So please keep that in mind. That's right. And it's not fair to the healthcare workers. I did hear someone say, if you think that it's a hoax and it's a conspiracy, then you should have to sign a contract. If you don't want to wear a mask, then you should have to sign a contract saying when you get sick, you are not going to go into our hospitals and risk the lives of all the healthcare workers that are wearing masks and all the people that are wearing masks. That should be the contract. You have to sign this contract. You're not going to come into our hospitals and try to infect other people because you were dumb enough not to wear a mask. We currently don't have any active COVID cases where I am, and a lot of people are still wearing masks. Good. That's what needs to happen. Because it's not fair to healthcare workers who have to subject themselves to this every single day. Please, please wear a mask. Saves lives, that's right. Hi, Donna. All the idiots in Alabama that were having parties and betting on who gets it first need to be banned from all public places. I totally agree. Yes, did you guys hear about that? They were having COVID parties in Alabama where they would invite one person who had COVID and like literally bet money on who would get the disease first. Now that's what stupid is called. I live in Florida. I know. So does my poor Hexen. An hour north of there in Alabama. I had to get tested today. Ugh. The brain test. Boy, that they bring that, you know, huge long Q-tip towards you, and you think, where the hell are you putting that? Did Pat get to pick a chicken foot production bag? He will, Linda. It's still sitting in my witch room. I'm bringing him into the office, into work next week, and then we'll take pictures. And yes, that's right. And yes, it is. I know. There was a vintage retail store on CNN that had a sign that said masks are required, and if youths when you bring your dead grandmother's clothes in. Yes, Pat. Oh, you weren't on that live, were you? I'll have to show you, Pat. Linda sent a gift. I'll have to show you. If you watch, fast forward if you don't want to look at the erotic deck, that's okay. But if you watch the erotic deck, not the latest one, the first one, the Decameron Tarot, all the way at the end of it, I opened Linda's gift because I was waiting for her to be there, and then she was there that night. And watch the end of that Decameron Tarot video, and you'll see what we're talking about. And you can tell me which one you want. It's okay. Hi, Joseph. Are you guys open tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Saturday. Yes, they are open tomorrow. Yay. That's okay, Jackie. Thanks for coming, honey. All right, I'm going to get off. Press the like button before you leave, please. There's only 28 likes, and the more likes we have, the more Facebook will spread the video so that more people will get to see it. I am going to have a big giveaway when we finally get to 7,000 subscribers. Yes, I do, Sonia. Yep. So when we get to 7,000 subscribers, I'm starting to gather stuff that I'm going to have a giveaway. YouTube, not Facebook. Did I say Facebook? Pat, it's been a long couple days. You all knew I meant YouTube, didn't you? Oh, that's sad. All right. Yes, please press the like button on your way out. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now. I am going to have a pretty big giveaway when I get to 7,000. I'm at 6,930 something. So I don't have too many left, like 70 or so. If we can get 70 subscribers, then the giveaway will happen. Yay! Very soon. So very soon. All right. I love you guys. The next video I'm doing tomorrow night will be the next admin spotlight interview with Leah Lynn. At 8 o'clock. So join us tomorrow night, 8 o'clock for the spotlight interview. And then Tarot Tuesday next week. We'll see how Sunday goes. I might do a video on Sunday about Lughnasadh again. Maybe we'll do the story of Lou. Yes, subscribe here. Yes. Tuesday, Tarot Tuesday is the Three of Cups, which is a great card. I've already started pulling cards out. And then Wednesday will be the next spotlight interview with Danny. And then Friday is going to be the next spotlight interview with Pat. So yay. It's going to be a busy week. I love you guys. Have a great night. Love each other. Be good to each other.